welcome to our new podcast episode today with Thierry Kneissler and Amadeo Di Sassi, the co-founder of Kitoko. A warm welcome to you guys.
Hi everyone out there.
Thanks. Hi.
Nice that you found our way here to our office at the Optingenstrasse, right in the center of Bern. I wrote you, Thierry, when we were back in the days on our podcast with Architects. So we got this connection there. The guys there were talking about you, and yeah, that's why we're now together today. Thierry as a board of director in a lot of companies, as an advisor, as a coach, as a consultant, also investor, and last but not least, co-founder at Twint and ex-CEO. Thierry, my first question is, above all these titles and these things you do, who are you as a personality in your private life? Like, what do you like? Where can I find you when you have free time, maybe?
Yeah, thanks. Well, as I live also in Bern, so close to you guys here down at the river at the Aare. So family, 2 kids, 2 teenagers, with all the good and the difficult things that you have in life. Now we feel very comfortable. We're there already a long time. In my free time, I do quite some sports, do some running, do some gym work at home, especially in the winter time. I like to read a lot, like to eat nicely, nice food, nice drink. I like to travel, so that's basically what I do in my free time.
Really interesting. And with that much things you're doing, what helps you most to turn off? To focus on yourself and to not think about all the things you're doing.
That's definitely when I go running. When I go running, I do that mostly 2 times a week, 1.5 hours. And then 90% of the time I'm not taking my phone with me, so I'm really on my own, and this is really good. This is cool. Then I'm running around, and then you can really free your mind. That's basically my entire. Really
interesting, yeah, like a digital detox. You do?
Yeah, really, I do that quite deliberately, because otherwise I'm just I'm listening to music, or to podcasts. I'm not doing that there and doing that in other sites, but just I just feel that sometimes I need just no inflow, just being myself. Otherwise it's difficult.
And with all your responsibilities, you find that hard to take that time, or you have clients that want to reach out, or how do you manage like the interest of all the stakeholders you're dealing with? Or would you say nowadays it's quite difficult to position oneself and take the time off?
No, I wouldn't say that. It was much harder when I was still working with Twint in operational role, because they are all people and they're coming to me, and that's okay. That's then you're really in the day-to-day business. But now, when I work in a board or I'm an advisor, or I also do some consulting, this is not day-to-day work, and so I don't have to react within half an hour. This is not necessary. So no, it's not. It's much easier now to take that time off than it used to be back in the old days. Yeah.
And would you agree that it should be also like this in the operational world, or because now we live in a century that there are so many burnouts, psychological illness is a huge topic, and I would say it's mainly also of this all the time being available, or how do you observe that?
Yeah, I mean it's a big field. It's a big field of questions. Yes, definitely. I mean, I see what I also, or that's my belief. One thing is the time that you invest. Definitely, I mean, it's a lot when you're operational. But I think it also, and for me always, it was more important in what environment I'm in. So I'm in a supportive environment, then you can take almost every time that you need. Then time is not so, at least it was for me, not so important that I invested in. But when you're feeling that there is an uneasy environment, when you have conflicts and all that stuff, then even 3 hours of work are too much. So I think it's both. I think it's both. It's yes, when it's a bit less time, then it also helps. But I think also, and that I see also a bit of my responsibility now, being on the other side, being on a board member, also to give the operational people a bit like peace of mind, that they say, hey, you're doing a good job when they're doing a good job, right? But also, yes, mistakes happen, they happen all the time. Don't take it too personally, come with them, then we can work together on that level. Yeah.
Good, we had the personal side and then also your business side. You were back in the days leading 100 people. It was really interesting for me to read also your LinkedIn post about your career. And for me it was really interesting. I wanted to ask you, maybe describe how this change was from leading 100 people to now self-employed and just leading yourself. So how was the change, and what kind of things did you take out of it?
For me, it was very much liberating. So it was a cool thing, because I was never that kind of person who I never defined myself in, okay, I lead 10 people more, so I'm more worse. Some people do that. I was never. For me, it was always leading people. Was always, okay, that's somehow part of the job, but it was never a name in itself. So for me, it was always, I'm interested in the outcome that we generate, whatever, as a group or me as a person or whatever. That was for me more important. And so for me, the leading stuff, it was also more a burden. It was okay, I did it, but I never took much satisfaction in. And so for me now, that time that I don't have to lead other people, and this is also a lot of administrative work, and it's not always the nice speeches, hey, we go forward and do whatever. You have to talk about all the problems. That's gone. So now I have much more time to really work on topics with other people and so on. And for me, perhaps there's a last comment on that one. I think there's no need in having a formal relationship with other people, like meaning you are leading somebody in order to lead a team. You can, when you have good ideas and when you go forward, then people will follow. It doesn't really matter if it's also on paper you're the leader or not. I think this works. This works also. But I know it's many people look at it a bit strange, and I got also some special remarks on that post. I said, okay, I don't understand you. I said, it's okay, you don't have to. That's good.
And this came overnight, also I'm sure it didn't came overnight, but it was a longer process, or maybe this switch of being employed and then all of a sudden self-employed would be interesting to hear, because for us it was really like after our studies we directly started our own business, so we build it up from the bottom, but you also know the corporate life and what you're not missing and maybe also what
for me it was a step by step. I was, as I say, I grew up in the corporate world. I was for 20 years working for corporates and whatever, and then when we started Twint, we founded out of post-finance an own company, and it was still a bit corporate, but it was already something as a group, we were more or less independent. So this was already the first step in, okay, there is another world than just the corporate world, and that to see it was very nice. And for me it was quite fast, clear, okay, especially regarding the speed that we had at Twint, for me it was not thinkable going back into the old structure where you lose all the speed. It's not that people don't want to move, but it's just organizationally very difficult to move. So that was the first steps. Okay, not going back. And then when the time came, when I said, okay, for me the Twint chapter comes to an end. What do I do now? So for me first it was, okay, this comes to an end. I don't know exactly what I want to do. And then I had a long time, because then I also agreed, okay, I will not go away now, so I will wait till they found somebody else. So I had a long time to think about it. And then within that time, for me, it was clear, okay, now it's the moment. I was close before 50. Okay, it's now the moment really to do something, just to take also the next step. And for me, it was logical, okay, do something on your own. That was then the next step. But for me, it was also then, I also didn't have the energy. It was quite intensive years, didn't have the energy, okay, just go into the next company and build it up and whatever. I also didn't have some cool idea. So for me then, so that led me then to this being self-employed, to do some consulting. And also being a bit free, not having to decide yet how the whole day will be. That was very nice. So for me, it was really a step-to-step approach, and but it was, and I also see that now when I talk to people, this for me it was very much a 0-1 decision, going self-employed or being employed somewhere. Then whatever you do in each field can differ, but I think this base you have to decide, and I decided, and it was a good decision, so don't regret it.
Yeah, when I'm listening to you, I have this impression that I sense a kind of humbleness, also in the sentence that you said, like, I'm not worth more if I lead 10 people more, or if I founded a company or a company that's well known. So is this something that you would describe yourself, being humble, or do you like to be in the spotlight? I mean, you have a remarkable career also when you look back.
No, I think what I like, and I don't know if it's humble or not, I like if that's what I do, then it results to something. I mean, obviously I'm very proud what happened to Twint, otherwise it would be a bit strange, right, if I wouldn't be. But, this is not something that I did. I did a part of it, there were many people did their part of it, right? And I think if this is humbleness, then I would say yes. I mean, it's never one person who does it, and it's always though people say, okay, I'm the only one who did it, and I say, most probably not. Not even for sports people when they do, and most probably not even Roger Federer is by himself. He has 20 people around, they all have to work for him, right? And I think, for that me is really important that what I do, that's also good time invested, that something results, and then I'm happy. That's good.
And another thing was like when you said, like, okay, if someone has a nice idea or if there is a good idea, then people will follow. Would you say it's really about the idea, or is it also about the personality that has maybe this inspirational, charismatic way of also bringing across this idea?
Yeah, it's definitely a bit more than the idea. I think the idea is necessary, otherwise, I don't know, then you run after somebody. I mean, there happen things that people run after people without a purpose, but I think that's a bit special. No, I think that the idea is definitely necessary, but on the other side, there are many good ideas out there. And so I think it's necessary to have an idea, but I think, and the more time goes, the more important it is the execution. Many people are out there who say, okay, the idea is 1% of a startup, the execution is 99%. That's perhaps a bit too extreme, but I think it goes in that direction. So I think very much, and there the execution, how do you see that? And I think it's very much, there are teams or there are people that really, that push you and pull the thing in a direction that you feel, okay, there's something is happening. They move forward, they always move. Even when they have problems, they have obstacles, but they move. And they always move 2 steps forward, 1 back, and 2 forward, 1 back. And then there are people, they never move. And I think that I have a bit like, or at least I believe I have a bit like the view that I think, okay, I think I see quite fast if somebody is the one of the 2 and 1 person and not the one that stays still. And then it's then cool when you because then you support these people, and then it gives really, then you push yourself forward. And this is something that we had very much at Twint. We were lucky that we had a group of people, and everybody was pushed. And that's why it worked. That was not the work of one person, and also that was not the work of a great idea and nobody doing something. Would have been nowhere.
So if you're talking about the movement of people, or that it's important that you move even you have problems, are there other things you can give from your experience to young founders? What could help when they're starting? I heard there are a lot of ideas, but execution is the most important. in your opinion, what is important for our young founders which are reading our podcast?
Yeah, there are many things that are important. I think I would go to definitely who do you work with? Huh? What is your surrounding? And I see also with things that I'm directly involved in. So first of all, the founder team in itself must work together. Can be 2, 3, 4, 5. Doesn't have to be 10 people. Huh? I think 2 to 5 is okay. 2 to 4 perhaps even. They have to work together and they have to trust each other. I think trust there is very important because at the beginning everything is fine and you will run into problems always. Huh? And then when you run into problems, at least make sure that there are not many interpersonal problems. There will be many others, but when you then also fight with each other and then you fight on the market, then it's mostly too much. So this is one thing. But then not only and I see that more and more, it's not only the inner circle, but it's very much who do you attach yourself outside? Who do you take on the board? Who do you take as an advisor? I mean, you must also then have the number, not having 10 people, 20 people that you only manage them. But I think you can very much with 2, 3, 4 other people who know the market. They give you credibility. They give you access to the market, whatever. There are many people who want to help because it's cool. It's cool to be part of a startup. Everybody likes that. And when you do that, I think then you have a group of people that moves forward. Those that makes you bigger than you are. I think that helps. And then definitely, I mean, always, then in the execution level, it's always the same question. It's the focus. Focus. You get distracted so fast. Oh, I could do this. Oh, I had a talk with that person. They said that. Then what we usually do, okay, that's good, but is it just that person? Perhaps it's not enough. This will not move the needle. When you hear that 9 out of 10 times, then it's important. When you hear it once, nice you said it, it's not important for us. It's always this focus, because then you can work on the market. So perhaps that's the third. And then the second one and the third one is always have a view on your finances. Have a view on your cash. What is in your account? How do you generate cash? How do you generate investments and so on? And I think when you have that in order, the team, whatever the focus in the development, and you have the finances in order, I think chances are at least a bit higher than when you're not doing it. It's not that this will work all the time, but I think then you have some basic steps for the right time.
And for me, it would be interesting to hear, like, maybe you're open to share a failure. I mean, a thing that you learned, or something that went completely wrong, but now you can really laugh about it. Would be also interesting to hear if you have something like you would be open to share.
Yeah. I mean, I can take 1 or 2 examples out of Twint. I mean, not all things went well. I mean, what we learned, I don't know, perhaps you don't remember, but really in the beginning, 2015, how the Twint app looked like. I mean, not many people were using it, so chances are big that you don't remember. But we then had the thought, we have a new payment method, so we must have a totally super fancy solution. So basically, our solution didn't look at all like a payment solution. So basically, we said, okay, we had some flow like Facebook, because we thought, there will be a lot of messages in there. And I think we had one button that was not even written on it, and there you could pay. So people didn't understand it. So we had to redo the whole design. And honestly, when I now look back, I can laugh at it, because we did so much things wrong. We never talked to the customer. We thought that would be it. It was way too much for customers, whatever. I mean, we did everything wrong in there. But this is a learning. I said, don't be too innovative, because people basically, they like to have what they had, and so just make it a bit more. I mean, a bit more new, and that's enough. I mean, there are many of these kind of examples that we said we did that. I mean, also we had at the beginning there was very much the business model. We want to move into mobile marketing. That's why. I mean, there's still some things left now. I mean, this is when you see Twint, you see all the pictures, whatever coming in. That was basically a mobile marketing engine. I mean, now it's starting to get used as that again, but we thought we could do that in the beginning. We never talked to the merchants, because if we would have, they would have told us already, hey, first bring your reach, first bring your millions of customers, then we're interested in. I mean, there are some of them, but yeah, I mean, I think mistakes happen all the time. I mean, this is how it is.
Always, also in our business, yeah. And when we move also a little bit, you were talking before about people who are running somewhere without a purpose. I saw also on your LinkedIn account that you help companies to find their purpose, a raison d'être. And maybe there, how you start when you help companies with a purpose, and what is important in your opinion.
I think it's not that hard. It depends on two things. First, companies that are there already for a long time, and new ones. So let's take the ones that are there already for a long time. They have already a purpose. Because they're here for, I mean, I did that with companies which are over 100 years old. So they are there and they weathered many storms. So there must be something in that company that makes them unique. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here anymore, right? And it's quite interesting that when you ask them, and it's quite easy, okay, what are you for here? Why is it that you're here, right? Why do people buy at your company? Huh? What is it that makes you different? It's more like the answer is always there. I mean, they have the answer and they come to the answer. It's more like that they never ask the questions themselves. Huh? So perhaps you need one workshop, perhaps you need two workshops. You ask, okay, I think that's not the first answer is always, because we do good for some customers. We like to have the best employees, whatever. I said, that's not it. Huh? That's not it. Everybody does that. So go one deeper. Huh? What is it really? What is it really? And then you come quite often, you go back really to where it all started. So why was the company founded? And you see quite often a lot of that DNA is still there. It's modernized, but it's still there. So that is something. And then you can, from there on, I think you can develop, okay, how do you want to take that purpose in the future? Most of the time, the purpose, you don't have to change that because it's already there and it makes sense because it brought them already through the first 100 years. So why shouldn't it bring them to the next 100 years, right? But there might be other means. There might be the product will be totally different. It will be technology, it will be digital and not physical, but it will be the same underlying. So I think that's quite straightforward. It's more like asking and digging and not taking the first answer as the real answer, but going one deep, why, and then you have it. That's basically. And for the new ones, it's very much, there it's quite interesting. For me, I always have quite early the discussion, why are you doing this? Why are you doing the startup? And then when people say, I'm only doing it for money, then you go down a second or third time, and if it's still only for the money, then I say, okay, then do it. And perhaps it's not, it might work or I don't say it's not working, it might work, but that then mainly for a short time frame, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years max, and then you can do it. But most, I would say 90%, they have some basic need. They want to change where they work, like their environment, or they have some ideas, or they want to develop, they want to disrupt some market, whatever. I want to change that, and so on. And I think these are then you have to find them, and especially also then you have to find an agreement on the team. And ideally also, I do most of the time we also take the same questions also to investors and whatever, because it's important that at least they also share the basic concept where this company is going, that they're not only coming for the money. So there it's more like a finding, but it's also not that hard. It's more like really asking that question and really going in, okay, is this it? Really? And then
again and again.
Yeah, it's just, and then sometimes you're at the level and I say, okay, now I believe that we are on the ground, then we have it. And so.
And if you feel like, hey, yes, we did it, we are on the ground, what do you see? What is changing, in your opinion, within the companies, if they know their purpose? What is the impact?
Well, I think it's very much for me. It's very much an alignment tool of the people that work there. I mean, for new companies, it's definitely the topic where it's okay. Do I believe in that? Then I'm in. If I'm not believing, most probably I will not go on that journey. That's mainly yes or no. In existing companies, especially when you're bigger companies. I mean, also we don't have to overdo it. And it's not like that every person who works wherever has to be 100% identifying themselves with the purpose. It's okay when they say, hey, I want to work here, that's okay, I like the people around here and that's enough for me, I don't have to go that way. But I think on the management level, those people who really make the decisions, they should also be on the common ground. I think this should be something. I mean, it can happen. It can happen that this then also leads to change of person. I mean, in the end, it's something that I say, okay, hey, listen, this is the company has to be somehow first. So if you have people, especially on a management level, who don't believe in the purpose, then I think this is not the right person, at least not in the long term. And this is not wrong. This is just how it is. And I think also people shouldn't be afraid to then take decisions and also tell the person, hey, listen, this is our purpose. That's where we work on. We want you to be either part of this journey or it's okay when you're not part of it, but then you might not be in there. I think it's very much this alignment thing, and then it leads to identification, it leads to whatever. It depends also how much the purpose then really is in the center of the day-to-day work, or if there's something there, and then we do day-to-day work with our customers, and sometimes it's back again. This depends also. This depends by companies.
And what did you mean by saying the company first? As it's not about personal interest, you have to think about the company first, or can you?
It's very much what I would strongly not advise to is just to yes, basically this would be a purpose of our company, but somehow these two persons are totally against it, but we just can't get let's say rid of them, and so we change somehow. I think this is it's because, and I think this is something that people always, especially when they're on the management level, people always they feel it. People working, they feel it if you're in it or if you're not in it. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work otherwise. I mean, just keep person on it. I mean, there are always that kind of situations, or people feel it, that's not right here, this is not the right person, she doesn't believe in that purpose, whatever, she's just here to take the money or just for the position. And this then goes down into the other persons, and they feel, okay, if those person doesn't have to act according to our purpose, whatever, so why should I? This is then really bad. That I meant, okay, company first, have the purpose, and if it has to be, then it might be that you're not the right person on the spot. I mean, that happens, and that's okay.
It's interesting. You were talking a lot about the management level. The management level, one challenge is if you don't have the same person, and if the purpose is not aligned within the management, this is a challenge. You are actually in a lot of boards, and what kind of other challenges do you see within boards, or what is difficult sometimes, an interest conflict, or out of your experience for all our board members which are listening now?
Yeah, I think what is very I think it's very important. I wouldn't say a challenge, but I think it's a prerequisite that you have an open discussion, and I would say, an open discussion, that you have trust between the management and the board, because you as a board member, you have always imperfect information, always per definition. You know 10% of that what the management level does, even in small companies. I mean, we don't have to fool ourselves as board members, we don't know much what really happens down there. And in order that we then can take our responsibilities, because we have responsibilities, we have to make sure that this company somehow works in the right direction, that it doesn't go bankrupt and so on, whatever. We have to make sure that we know how the company is doing. And for that, it's necessary that you have an open, transparent communication to the management. So I think this is a prerequisite that the board functions, that the board works, because then it can take the role, and I see very much the role. I mean, yes, it's a bit like this legal role in small companies. That is quite small, because when you don't have much financing, there's not much control on the financial level. There it's very much about challenging, about helping, about opening doors, about bringing in not always new ideas, they have enough ideas, but just really to this focus level, as I said before. Okay, no, that's not too much, that's too much. We do first this, do that right, and then comes the next one. I think this is very much, so it has to really be an open discussion that both sides, the board and the management, that they see the value of the other. Then it really works. If this trust is not there, if you see that friction, if you say, oh no, I have to go to that board again, I don't want to, this is not good. This is not good. So this is mainly that kind of challenge. Conflict of interest, I mean, can happen. I mean, yes, but I think this is very open. Just be open. I'm in 2 boards of 2 companies where they have together quite a big contract together. I just said, I'm not involved in that contract. I'm not involved in that discussions. I'm not involved in the decisions. I'm not signing everything. And I think that's easy. That's an easy for everybody. I said, don't come to me with that question. Go to somebody else. I'm not talking about you about that contract. And I think that's okay. But it doesn't happen that often. Especially not in, I mean, it might be when you're in bigger companies, but I'm mainly in small companies. This is not a huge topic.
So really interesting, about building bridges between the board and the management, enabling like a transparent communication. What helps within the transparent communication? What do you think, like, to be transparent within a company?
Well, it helps very much. What I see best, and I think those work best, especially when you're talking about startups, but also others. We usually have a monthly update how the company works. That's facts and figures. That's numbers, that's cash, that's clients. That's a bit product development, not much. And that's basically that. There is no formal board meeting, that's just information. 1 hour, people can join, people cannot join. It's also open to all investors, whatever. Then it is, you join, you can talk to the CEO. After 1 hour, it's finished. Then you have a good view how the company works. And this is repeatable, that's every month. So you see how it works, you will not be surprised. So this is one thing. I think this helps very much. This helps very much. And then this leaves you time when you have board meetings 4, 5, 6 times a year, whatever, something like that. Then you can really talk about some strategic issues. Okay, what are kind of partnerships that we're going in? Should we go into another country? Should we do some new financing? Then you have time for that. And I like very much these 2 things. Okay, how the thing works. This is work. This is facts and figures. And then you have time for the strategic decisions. And I think for me that's all there is needed. And it needs some discipline. It gives you discipline. You have a lot of touch points. These touch points then help also to increase the trust. Because trust only happens when you're in the same room with people. It's not happening when you're not talking to each other. And so, but that's a nice side effect of the other structure that we work with.
You were mentioning quite a lot of time like trust, so I get the impression that it's really the fundament. So, and now you said like these repetitive meetings and being together, this builds trust, or did I hear wrong? Or
no, I think that yeah, it's very much because I mean basically, especially when you do a new company, I mean there might be, and I think that's also important in there, something I didn't mention, right? You have a mixture there of people who didn't know each other, and you have people mainly in the founding group. Mostly when you have 3, 4 founding people, 2 or 3, they know each other since kindergarten.
Like me,
yeah.
like us too.
and I think it's important, right? And this then helps a bit when you have frequent interaction. It's important that you also get the people who come from the outside perhaps not on, I mean, it will never be the same level, but you have to keep them on a level that they can talk to you on the same level. Huh? Because otherwise it's always this subgroup in these are the insiders and we are the outsiders, we don't belong in here, which can work well, very well, but which can also bring a lot of troubles. Huh? I think this helps a bit. I think very much, trust builds then up. I mean, as in relationships, right? I mean, you need some repeatable, I mean, in the end it's a relationship, it's nothing else. Huh? It's nothing else that is in there.
Really interesting, Thierry. Yes, maybe a last question from my side to look forward. You have your strategy champion product with InnoArchitects, but furthermore, what are your next plans? What's next in future? Maybe that you can give a little update from your ideas or projects. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I mean, in the end, there will be a couple more, most probably board seats that are in doing. We'll see whatever happens. But this is something that I will increase. And there might also be, but we haven't decided yet, there might also be, as you mentioned, our strategy champion education. This takes today 9 days, it's quite long, and it might be that we develop a short version of 2 to 3 days. That would then be the next thing in that level, but it's more on an idea level, It's not. So if something happens, it will still take another half year to 3/4 of a year. But these are a bit like, I mean, not the big moves, because I'm quite happy in how it works, so I don't have to change the whole setup, so that's okay.
Yeah, I have many more questions, so I limit myself to maybe 2 questions that were popping up. First of all, I like some of your words that came repetitive, so also focus. Well, I heard a lot of time, and I think nowadays it's quite challenging to keep the focus, especially when we have contact with our clients or management. We all the time hear from leaders that they're so busy with operational, so it's difficult for them to have this focus, or maybe also have this meta perspective to see, hey, where am I? So what does it need to have this focus? You mentioned that it needs this interaction between different people, also different opinion, that helps to find out the focus, or what can you say about keeping the focus, and what helps you personally to have this focus?
I think what very much helps on now, let's say for people who are in operations, it helps very much to have 1 or 2 persons outside talking to them all the time about the focus. Because when I was back in operation level, I didn't have the focus. There was too much operational. But when you're outside, and this is also my role as I see as a board member, I bring all the, hey, that's not the focus. That's the focus. Remember what we said, strategy, you want to do this, you're doing that, that's not in there. I think it needs an outside person who does that. So I think I would advise, take somebody who pushes you on that focus, one thing. And for me, it's I think it has to be it has to do with discipline. It has to do with discipline, say, okay, you do that and that and that. I have many different mandates. I have also people can also say I'm very much anti-focus. I say yes, can be, but my focus is I see more like this, bringing the companies forward. So this is my focus, not having one company but multiple. Now you can say that's hair splitting, that might be true, but I think that's very much in there. So really for yourself, be disciplined. Ask yourself once or twice a year, okay, what do you want? Really step back a bit. I think that you have to do by yourself, and then you can work on that. And I think it works. And also for me, I mean, it works. Sometimes it works better and sometimes not. I mean, it's not 100% focused. That's basically.
Okay.
Really honest answer. I like it.
And if I might give the last question, I'm surprised that the time already went through so fast. I mean, we talked about purpose, we talked about raison d'être. So if I ask you, why are you doing what you're doing? What would be your answer?
Perhaps that's also a bit overestimation of myself. I think with what I took a lot of experience, whatever, in also bringing companies forward, And I'd like to, the most that I can share that experience that I always say, okay, if I help with me working in a company, like pushing the odds 1 or 2 or 3 percentage points higher that this company succeeds, then I did my job. So this is something that I like. And then I like, obviously, when perhaps you can give a hint there, you can give an experience there, and they say, hey, look at that. And when you then see then something prospers, that's cool. That's then really gives satisfaction. So, but then we see if it happens. Yeah, that's basically it.
When I listen to you, Matteo, you're burning with questions, so we don't have to stop. You can also add one.
No, now I forgot all the other questions. Let me think. Yeah, but maybe also you, Thierry, you have maybe a question to us, and I need to check. Yeah.
Good. So no more question for the moment. Yeah. Maybe you have one, Thierry. And if not,
I think it's good. No, thanks a lot. I'm more in the answering mood now. It's difficult to change to a question.
Okay, then I bring
time.
No, we don't need to fill, but I mean, I like your answer, so
okay, cool.
I'm sure it's of great value for all the listeners out there. And I remember a talk we had recently about the diversification in boards, and not only about gender or age. So how do you experience, is there a change needed that boards are getting more diverse? Or what do you think about also younger people being part of the board? You said you have a lot of experience. But is nowadays experience meant how many years or decades you're in the business, or can also young potential be part of a board? Yeah, that would be a question that I'm interested in.
Yeah. Very important question. Yes, definitely. I mean, definitely, it's needed. I think there's still many boards, especially when I look outside to it, especially the bigger boards of bigger companies. When you see in there, it's quite uniformity. Most probably are usually men in the 60s and 70s are in these boards. It changed already a lot, but I think it has more to change. For me, it's more like, and we try to do that in our boards. We try to have a diversification of competences. And I think, honestly, I don't really care if it's a woman or a man or whatever, or young or old, or Swiss or non-Swiss, or German-speaking or non-German-speaking. I mean, definitely it always helps, but I think I would be strongly against in just having a board. Okay, we're diverse now, but we have all the same competency. This doesn't help. So for us, we very much do, it's always nice to have 1 or 2 persons who understand the industry that you're in there. It's nice when you have somebody sales and marketing. It's always a problem. It's nice when you have somebody operations. That's always a problem. It's good to have somebody with financing background. Sometimes, not always, when it's a bit more like when you move into banks and so, it's also good to have somebody compliance legal. I mean, you don't need that for a business to consumer company. But I like to have the boards more on that side, because this then gives a discussion from different angles from outside. And it gives also to the management different people where they can really dive into it. I think it doesn't make sense when a board speaks about digital marketing strategies on a level that goes a bit deep, because 90% of the people will not understand the word. They just say something. So it's better, okay, hey, specialist, please challenge with the management that. And if you think we have to act, then come back to us. And we try to put the boards together on that level. And I mean, yes, I mean, if you have the different diversification level, then it works. But for me, it's really competency. And so there, definitely, yes, also it can happen a younger person. But I think it's important that you have experience. I mean, also the younger person should have experience in that field. Just having a people on the board because the person is young, I mean, nobody's happy with. Nobody's happy with that. Yeah.
Yeah, no more questions from my side. Yeah, I mean, I would be interesting to hear from you, Arno. How was the talk for you? What stick most to your head? Yeah.
Yeah, I think stealth answering mode from Thierry. No, yeah, for me it was really interesting to hear the keyword trust, which popped up all the time. So that was really inspiring due to the fact that we also work with a lot of clients on this topic, trust. And furthermore, yeah, the insights of advisory board, how they should be chosen just on the ground of skills. That was really interesting. And furthermore, for our younger people, of course, what kind of skills do you need as an individual, but also as a team? Trust is so important also within the younger startup team. So we had many interesting points. And I want to thank you, Amadeo, for the questions. You had some at the end. And also you, Thierry, thank you that you're here in Breitenrein at our office. And we wish you all the best from our side. And yeah, I think we will hear each other sooner or later in another context. Yeah, let's see.
Absolutely, thanks a lot. It was a pleasure. It was a cool talk, thanks.
For me, I liked a lot the simplicity. Don't be too innovative. Don't overthink. Focus on the most relevant things, and then things are pretty obvious. Yeah. So for me, this talk had a lot of simplicity, and yeah, this was also interesting for me. And I think the supportive environment was also something that stick to my mind. So who are the people you're surrounded, and keep an eye on that. Yeah. So thanks a lot for your insights and valuable talk. And thanks, Arno, for bringing Thierry in. I think, you were there quite pretty straightforward. So thanks a lot for making this happen.
Yeah, thank you, guys. And I'm just thinking maybe we should repeat all the time in our next podcast what we're talking about, because you did that now the first time. But let's think about always getting better. And guys outside, thanks for listening. And we hear each other on the next podcast episode.